Now, a simple new device could bring security and freedom to patients and caregivers.
It's him being safe and me knowing that he's safe.
See how it works tomorrow on ABC's World News with Charles Gibson. Nightline continues from New York City with Cynthia McFadden.
We turn now to a story about the triumph of the human spirit. Over the course of 2 decades, Phuong Zhang went from a student full of hopes and dreams to a young man horribly injured in the unforgettable Tiananmen Square protest, to a human rights advocate labeled a troublemaker by Chinese authorities, to a person reborn in the United States. John Donovan has his remarkable story.
At the nation's capital the other day, a small and modest ceremony for a man from China who hardly speaks English, but that's fine because his story is best told in images. Starting with this 24-year-old photo, the same man, his name is Phuong Zhang, in his running days, he was a sprinter, an Olympic hopeful. He was also hopeful about this, an image that stood for so much to the world, the spring 1989 democracy movement in Beijing's Tiananmen Square. Phuong Zhang was in that crowd, a university senior planning a career in sports education. It went on for 7 weeks, and then came June 4th. And the crackdown, and the tanks, and in the panic, the sprinter fell under a tank, and it was his legs that were crushed, an image that is too hard to behold, so let's fade out and fade back in on this much brighter scene. It was just the other day, Phuong Zhang in the United States beginning to learn to walk. Only 5 weeks ago, he took his very first steps in 20 years, thanks to new legs built for him by the team that helps U.S. wounded war vets. Again, no English, but they communicate.
When I first saw him 20 years of not being walking, I thought there's going to be some, discomfort for starts and then balance issues. But, he really, first day he was able to let go of the parallel bars and stand there balanced. So he has an inherent stability with him.
He also just seems to be into it.
We have a language barrier, obviously there's an interpreter there, but there's body language that doesn't need interpretation.
Yeah, we saw that happen.
So it's easy to, we can just do like thumbs up, thumbs down and watch him, and he's very much into it.
It was indeed 20 years in a wheelchair in China, during which time Phuong Zhang actually found his way back into sports. He became a champion in the Paralympics, and he also talked. This was an interview he gave ABC in 1996 in which he discussed what had happened to him. But China considered him a troublemaker and refused to give him the passport that would let him leave. Then another image, the last Olympic Games. China's big global moment designed to look perfect. And rather than risking Phuong Zhang giving more interviews, they gave him a passport. Which is how he comes to be now in America, relying on donations while he waits to hear if he can get political asylum. And these prosthetic legs, they too were a donation. They are worth about $100,000. And someone came up with the idea of bringing him and his wife and his young daughter to the U.S. Capitol to send China a bit of a message. And the crowning moment, it was the dance. His first dance ever with his wife, whom he married after his legs were lost. The sprinter sending that message, cutting the rug, not just standing up, but standing up for something he believes in. Now that's an image. I'm John Donovan for Nightline in Washington.
Great story, an inspiring image indeed. John Donovan reporting. When we come back,